Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you happen to be. Thank you for joining us today. And we still have some people joining, but we're going to begin just a little early. I don't know of anybody who's ever done a webinar, webcast, whatever you want to call it, with this topic. And if you've been doing this as long as I have, which is 33 years in August, I kind of do it off the top of my head. And a lot of people have come into the business over the years, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them really don't know what they're doing. So we're going to try to demyth some of the facts and figures that are out there today. We've got abbreviated slides today to get you in and out as quickly as possible. Every slide is live links inside. You can see that in the handout section, which is something new that GoToWebinar has offered us. Makes it nice and easy. I don't have to email and deal with bounces and files too big, whatever. And from that aspect, you now have the slides for today's presentation without the animations. And I'll take all questions at the end, but feel free to type them as we go along, and I will address everybody's questions at the end. So let's get started. My name is Michael Price, and I'll be the presenter today, or your host, whichever you want to call it. Today's sponsor is one of our relatively new clients. They actually sponsored our last webinar, which was about 3 weeks ago. Sangoma, they're a voice over IP manufacturer and product provider, and we're currently working their GSA contract for them to get them started in the government. Couple questions for those of you that are possibly new to the way we conduct our webinars. We cater to veterans, woman-owned, Native American, Hub Zone, and 8As. My question to you is, do you now sell to the government, and how do you sell to the government? Is it profitable? Which doesn't always necessarily mean a profit. I remember the joke back in the late 90s. Someone said, "What kind of company do you run?" I said, "It's a nonprofit." "What kind of nonprofit?" Didn't start out that way. That's just the way it ended up. There's your humor for this morning, this afternoon. Today's agenda. And I like the second to last item. It says, "and more," because as I was putting the slides together late as usual, I missed a couple things which are not in that list, but I got them covered under "and more." I used abbreviations because that's all you're going to hear in the government. The slides will explain in greater detail what each of those acronyms means, and half of the things that are on here, most people don't even know about. Taxpayer ID, or employer identification number. And if you'll notice on a few of the slides, we will see yellow that says, "Avoid scams trying to charge you to do this." You're going to see this in about 3 or 4 slides, exactly why I say this and what I mean by this. And as they say, buyer beware. Dun & Bradstreet. Everybody, obviously, because you're attending today, you have a taxpayer ID, you have a Dun & Bradstreet number, or a Dunn's number, whatever you want to call it. Again, do not allow anybody else to do this for you. Let's get right to the SAM debacle. How many of you have, and you can raise your hand or just remain quiet, how many of you have had your SAM record expire in the last 3 months? How many of you have tried to renew before it expired in the last 3 months? As I once heard a president say, I feel your pain. Do not allow anybody to do it for you, because that's why we're in this SAM debacle now. If you read the fine print, it's that notarized letter is going to get you. Even if you are not expired and you are trying to renew for whatever reason, you're going to have to create the notarized letter. Cage code, you all have. I realize this is somewhat redundant, but it's something that a lot of you may not even know what it is and why you need it. Commercial and government entity code. You must have it to do business with the government. And for the record, if your SAM is expired, you cannot accept an order with the government, and you cannot get paid by the government until it's back up to date. The reason we had this debacle in SAM was because a very disreputable, unreputable, not reputable company was charging people to do this, and they were changing your bank account information, so when you got paid, you didn't get it. It went to them. That gentleman is now in federal prison in order to pay $4.2 million in restitution. That's the reason why I specify and spend so much time on SAM. Same way with NAICS, North American Industry Classification System. It's a expansion of the old SIC, Standard Industrial Code. Again, it's free. The highlight under what is NAICS, that takes you right to NAICS lookup, so you can decide if I want to add NAICS codes, which then you have to add to SAM, which creates an update, which creates the notarized letter. Once you've done it, you're good to go for another year. How many of you know what a digital certificate is? It's an electronic credential. What it does is it verifies, much like an SSL certificate is on a website. The SSL validates the server. The digital certificate validates you with GSA. This is the one I hate more than anything in the world, and people wait and wait and wait until the very end to get it done. 94 minutes of pure, I can't say that word, but frustration. There you go. 94 minutes. When you're finished, you'll get a certificate, which you must upload into the e-offer system at GSA. And it's required. Readiness Assessment. Pretty straightforward. It's a fillable PDF, but there's also links in it that take you to different areas of government websites so that you can be ready, hence the word Readiness Assessment, so that you can be ready to do business with the government if you decide to do so. And by the way, usually in the open market world, which is probably where most of you are right now, you don't really see most of these requirements. And as you'll see me refer, well, I actually refer to it right here. I use the word application because it is an application. It's technically an RFP, request for proposal, but you're not bidding against anybody. You're actually bidding against yourself because GSA wants the lowest price that you've charged, whether it be products or services. We can get into that into another webinar. Open ratings, past performance. Very simply, just think eBay or Amazon feedback.
Thanks for telling me.
10 of your customers will be queried, surveyed on how they rate their interaction with you. That's the good news, if it's all good. The bad news is you don't know who gives you negative feedback. So from that aspect, you're kind of doing it blindly. How many of you are not manufacturers? If you're not a manufacturer, you need a letter of supply to prove that you have a continuous source of supply. That must be submitted with your GSA application. E-offer, this is what it all boils down to when all is said and done and everything is put together after you go through all of the solicitation documents, which they are getting shorter, by the way. They're moving a lot of it into the e-offer system. It's also the same system you'll use to do modifications to your contract after you're awarded. Pricing analysis. Nobody ever talks about this. We have a tool, same tool that GSA uses. We run your product list through the tool. It goes out and from the back end, looks at GSA Advantage, pulls the top 5 contracts with the same part number, UPC code, which is now required. That's another webinar we'll discuss that in. And it then shows you where you are in that top 5. Number 1 being the lowest price, number 5 being the highest. And if you're a small business, you want to kind of be in the middle, which you're allowed to be. We had a client a couple years ago that when we first introduced the tool, we started running it against all of the other contract holders and found that we weren't kind of where we wanted to be. So he basically asked me to do a nuclear strike. I want to be the lowest by at least a penny for every product we have against everybody that has a contract for that product. We did it. He went from about $200,000 that year in revenue to over $2 million by the end of the year. GSA was founded on best value. When you think the big boy online or Best Buy or any of the other folks, then a lot of times they cost a little more, but when they offer free shipping, free returns, overnight shipping free, sometimes the folks with the lower price charge you shipping, charge you everything else. So who gives you better value? Somebody who's giving you everything free on the back end, charging you a couple dollars more, or the lowest price person? Not always the same. So the price analysis, if your profit line can stand it, you're better off getting the tool run. Very reasonable pricing to get that done if you're interested. It doesn't necessarily have to be for GSA. It can be for anybody. Credit cards, required to do business with the government, period. Right now, of the 600,000+ of you that are registered on SAM, and they give us the database every month to be able to do what we're doing today. I hate to use the word free or no charge, complimentary webinars. Over 70% of you do not accept credit cards. And they wonder why they're not getting any business with the government. They're not going to contact you just because you're registered on SAM. You must have some sort of a contract vehicle. You must have a capability statement. You must have a marketing outreach program. We have some excellent folks at companies that work with us that can help you do that. Whether you have a contract or not, irrelevant. You can still do small purchases, micro purchases. However, the problem you have there is if you do it too much, the agency will get their hand slapped with their internal auditor for circumventing, here's an acronym, CICA, Competition and Contracting Act. We talk about that in another one of our webinars, which you can also see on our website. We've got quite a few of them, not enough, but we're going to start adding more. We're completely revamping everything. Here's the first credit card, if any of you are interested. I just love the bank that issued it. I don't see a bank. All I see is a magnetic strip of tape created by IBM in 1959. I have no idea how to process that card, what was on the tape, whatever, but that's your first credit card in existence. Took me a while to find it. That's the basics. Yes, we're at 15 minutes. I'll be more than happy to entertain questions, but I do have a few for you. Have you noticed they're in orange? So therefore, it's a link. Do you qualify for a GSA contract? Do you want to do it yourself? Do you want us to help you? Click on Need Help Getting It Done. Why does experience matter? That's us. Been doing it longer than anybody else in the world, and I've verified that. Continuous ownership. Yes, I'm old. I actually have a birthday coming up next month. If anybody's interested, sending donations or sushi is always acceptable. So I welcome your questions. There's a couple other slides left here. I'll go forward and then go back for them. There's the contact info. If you have a QR reader, let's go back to the questions. Please make sure you download the handout. Everything I just showed you is in that PDF file with all the live links. Let's see what we got here for questions. Everybody's shy today. Somebody ask a question. How long does it take to get a contract? Depends. Good question. Do you have existing business possibilities? Let's say that Homeland Security wants to buy your widgets and they getting ready to spend because the fiscal year end is coming up. They're getting ready to spend $200,000 on widgets. Will they write you a letter, and we normally furnish that template to our clients, that says to GSA, hurry up, we have imminent purchasing available as soon as they get their contract. That will get you to the top of the queue. Obviously, the bigger the number, the better, or the more letters the better. Haven't had lunch yet, Mike. My apologies on that. And that would normally kick you into about the 30-day window to get a contract. So without it, you're probably looking at 3 months. How do you update SAM for additional certifications? Woman-owned business, veteran-owned business. Excellent question. Same process as you would do normally, whether you're adding a NAICS code or adding your 8A, your service disabled, veteran-owned, woman-owned, small business, whatever. Depending upon when you expire or when you are up for renewal, do not let it expire to do it. Get it done now. If you've got, I'm telling everybody 3 months before expiration, please update, because that keeps you in business until expiration. Right now, we had a client whose SAM record expired beginning of May. Let's say May 1st. May 2nd, she tried to renew it. She had to go through the letter. We're still waiting. That's the bad news. The horror story, on May 1st, GSA was ready to have her contract, new contract signed, and they had to stop it because she didn't have her SAM renewed. It wasn't active. They can't award a contract with an inactive SAM record. So the problem now, after giving us a 30-day extension to get it done, we had no choice. That's why it's called the SAM debacle. We had to withdraw the offer and wait for her SAM record to go active again. And then we're still waiting. And here it is, June 12th, 47 days later, and we're still waiting. She is livid. There we go. Same question. I sent the letter 2 months ago. Still get the message. You will get the message. Hopefully you'll get an email from Sam. And here's the bad news. That program office is in the hills in Kentucky. And for the record, the e-offer program office is in the hills in West Virginia. So they don't do anything fast on either of those two places. So 2 months, that is absolutely unacceptable. Now, hopefully your SAM didn't expire. Hopefully you still have a valid SAM that you can work. Next question, please. What happens when we want to add a product or a service? Very easy. You go back into e-offer, and the second nice big blue box, they finally rewrote the code on it, says submit an e-mod or modification. You'll go through, put in the summary of what you want, why you want it, and you have certain forms. Each contract, whether it be MOBIS or IT or whichever it happens to be, they have their own set of how they want that modification submitted. That could take anywhere from a day to a month. Why do I say that? Very simple. Got another question came in here. There we go. I'll answer that question for you in a moment, as soon as I finish with this one. Actually, I'll answer that question now because I lost my train of thought. I shouldn't have read it. What do you charge for your services? Depends upon if you're a veteran or if you're a regular small business. We have two different price structures. If you would, the slide that's being shown to you right now says need help getting it done. Or you can go right to our website, MarketUS.com, and click on the plans and or click on contact us, and I'll be more than happy, or give me a call in another half hour, an hour, and I'll be more than happy to discuss a plan for you. Let me go back to where I was now if I can remember. Oh, sorry about that. Here's another question. Okay, we'll delete that one. Sorry, wasn't really on topic or appropriate. Next question coming in. Thomas, I welcome chatting with you after we're finished here. That's okay. I'll take my phone off of Do Not Disturb at about 2 o'clock. Another question, please, anyone? Okay, I see that. That's very good. Oh, I missed one. Sorry. How long is a contract good for? You know, I never thought about even putting that in there because I didn't think about it. Your base contract for GSA is 5 years. In the first 2 years, you must do, and I'm going to try not to laugh when I say this, in the first 2 years, you're required to do at least $25,000 in sales to the government under your contract number or risk termination. In the following 3 years, you're required to do $25,000 per year. So quick math says that over 5 years, you have a minimum requirement of $100,000. Now, let's assume worst case scenario that you don't get your $25,000 or you in the first 2 years, or in the next 3 years, any one year you don't get your $25,000, and you get terminated for lack of sales. Years ago, we just resubmit, you start all over again. Now, you have to wait 1 year before you can reapply. And you must show the government a marketing plan on how you plan on generating revenue within the government. Which brings me back to in the very beginning where I talked about a capability statement. Everyone must have a capability statement. I have a woman that does capability statements, and they are just absolutely the best I've ever seen, and I've seen so many of them. And I'm going to have Eileen on another one of our webinars. You'll see her on one of our recorded ones. I believe it's called To Bid or Not to Bid, or Bid No Bid. I can't remember because I don't look at it every day. And she's actually on there going through her slides of exactly how to put together bid, no bid, capability statement, everything. Wouldn't it be nice to know exactly before you stepped out the front door to try to do business with the government any one day, exactly where you were going without having to do the research? That's one of the services that she provides. I hate to do PSAs, but this is very important because if you don't succeed, then you're not going to be on SAM very long. There's no reason to. There's been a lot of companies who just do their registrations and sit back and say, I'm not getting any business. I'm not going to do business with the government. You haven't done anything. It's like getting a driver's license and never getting into a car and saying, I don't know how to drive. Well, you have to go in and practice. The only way you practice is to pick up the phone, send an email, and all of our clients get a list of all of the buying agencies and the customer service representatives. All of this, everything I'm telling you, you can get online for free. This is the problem with a lot of my competitors, that they don't tell you that, well, no, you can't get that. You have to have us do it. Where do you think I get it from? 1986 is when I started the company. 1996 is when eOffer, GSA Advantage, and all of the other government websites and programs to make your job easier to do business with the government came into being. eOffer and GSA Advantage, I worked on the beta team of both of those. It was fun. Doesn't look anywhere near like when we started. Then there's another antiquated technology, which I'm absolutely thrilled that it's going away. It's called SIP. I didn't do a slide on it because it doesn't apply anymore. Schedule Input Program. 1996, GSA decided they wanted to have every one of you who's doing business on your contract to use EDI. I want you to think scanners at Walmart or your whatever your local grocery store is. They scan it. That's all using EDI, and it establishes what's called an economic order quantity. So if everybody's buying popcorn or buying beer for the football game, then they know that every Sunday they have to have a larger supply, and the computer automatically calculates that. Well, you and I aren't going to use EDI because at the time it was over $10,000 to $20,000 to get set up. So they created a software package called Schedule Input Program. That is going away now because in our last webinar we talked about transaction data reporting and formatted price list. Once we submit our price list to GSA, they now do the conversion and load it right into GSA Advantage. So rather than waiting 30 days to see your contract and pricing and products, services up on GSA Advantage, it normally takes 24 to 48 hours. Next question, please. What about the Buy America Act? You know, it's kind of funny because we call it the Buy America Act, but it's really called the Trade Agreements Act. And you can look that up. Just type in Trade Agreements Act in Google, and it'll give you the actual list of all the countries that we have trade agreements with, even though the balance of trade may be tilted one side or the other. I remember when Taiwan first got on the approved list of Buy America, i.e. Trade Agreements Act. That's where most of the computer components were made at the time. And every one of my clients that had computer-related products were just jumping for joy because now they're able to put that on your contract. So the Buy America Act, i.e. Trade Agreements Act, just says, and here's a very important thing, if you are remanufacturing or you're an assembler for any product, as long as the product that you are offering the government has undergone substantial transformation into a new product of commerce, it then qualifies under Trade Agreements Act. For example, Hyundai, we all know they make cars. Did you know they make computers? In 1989, Hyundai walked into my office in Virginia and said, we want to start selling our computers to the government. And the guy brought in a 6-inch thick computer printout of every component that went into their computers. Well, we didn't have that good of analysis software at the time, but very quickly I said, where are they manufactured? He said, South Korea. I said, okay, what percentage is in South Korea? Because South Korea wasn't a favored nation at the time under TAA. He says, well, we get our motherboards, processors, and that stuff from Intel in San Jose. They then ship it to South Korea where we assemble it, and then we ship it back to our office in San Jose and we sell it. I said, so it's technically manufactured in Korea, even though all the parts are not Korean. He says, correct. I said, if you were doing final assembly, you get the case from wherever, you already got the motherboard, the hard drives, whatever. I said, why don't you assemble them in San Jose? Then it's an American product. Within 90 days, they'd moved their manufacturing facility from South Korea to San Jose, California. Well, it gets a little bit better. They didn't move their, if anybody remembers a CRT or the old tube TVs, tube monitor, which stuck halfway out past your desk, they were still manufactured in Korea. We could not put them on the contract individually to sell by themselves. We had to put a caveat that said, you're allowed to buy one monitor if you're buying a computer, must be done at the same time of purchase. It worked. Underwent substantial transformation, and the monitor, because you needed a monitor to be able to run your computer, we were able to sell those with a CPU, a computer, and their schedule was successful. This happens to a lot of folks. And you get parts coming from everywhere because certain countries specialize in making certain parts. Any other questions? Well, this is interesting that we actually got finished early because I used abbreviated slides. Hopefully everybody's downloaded the handout. Should be on your panel there under handouts, 1 of 5. And with that in mind, if there's no other questions, we're going to terminate our time together today. We will have this recording uploaded to our website as fast as we can get it done. I'll probably do it because I enjoy doing that in the afternoons. And again, no other questions. We'll just move right along. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. And let me give you the last slide one more time. Those of you who have a QR code reader on your phone, there's your contact info. Thomas, I look forward to talking with you. Give me about 15 minutes to grab a quick sandwich and look forward to your conversation. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much and look forward to seeing you on our next webinar, which I'm trying to decide on what I want for the topic. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be probably in another 2 weeks. Again, thank you so much, and everyone have a great day.